I can't coordinate this. That's like the rub your tummy and pat your head thing. I don't know. I can't do the see. Look at that. I can't do it anymore. The only way we got that is because we started that way. It'd be more fun if we had done it like with your hands down and then try to do it.
Well, yeah, that took way too much coordination.
Okay, all right.
I'm good. All I have to do is point up.
Yes, you have the easiest one. That's right. Up like the stock markets are right now. That's right. They're green again. They're green again. They have
they're not even up a full percent.
They have emerged from the Red Sea for Fridays. Of course, we know Mondays and Fridays in the stock market are absolutely just useless. But anyway, let's introduce everybody. Up to your top left is me. I'm the retail investor. I'm the one that they call the ape and dumb money, and that I throw poo at people if I don't agree with them. So I got lots of poo in reserve today for this. We've got the banker, which is in the top right. Josh Morgan, that is his name. He didn't make it up, and his initials are, and he didn't make that up either, JPM or JP Morgan, but we still love him. And then down in the bottom, we have the boss, the big man, the one that came up with the awesome thing we call pips around here, our AI. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, take all the credit, Mr. Buffering.
Hey,
I see your buffering.
I'll take dumb luck any day. It's like, what? We hit something. Oh, that's
Mr.
Cool.
Mr. Algo. No. Much more accurate than that. And his name is Royce Wells. So let's do this. It's not it is after the bell, but it's after the morning bell. And it's also not on Wednesday, but we do it when we can do it.
Thursday.
Because the Singaporeans decided that Daniel would not be able to do it this week, and so it's just a bunch of Americans this week. So
yeah, that'd be
what can
Chinese
we say?
Insider trading. I mean,
yeah.
All right, so let's get started this week. We've got the markets, like I just said, all green this morning because of the PCE report. At least that's the excuse. That's the narrative. That's what they're going with this Friday morning. Is that
it's barely up? It's up, but
yeah,
it's barely up.
But it started up more than that, and of course, that's what happens on Mondays too. It starts off and then it comes back down again as they take their profits or they trade back and forth between funds. But we're not going to get into all that. Let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, so PCE report, 2.5%, I think is what it was. I think that's what I saw. Yeah, it slipped to 2.5% in June. And so that gives a hint that inflation is on the way down, at least for today, until another report comes out. And again, if you
trust that, we adjust that number.
Oh, those adjustments, those previous month adjustments, the current adjustments, the adjustments from between now and the election. It's just funny. All of those different reports just go up and down just freely. And I believe none of them. Of course, you guys know that. If you know me, you know that. So
and nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Where's your tinfoil hat?
It's right here, but
okay.
I can't.
No, you don't have to wear it. I just wanted to make sure you still had it.
I can't mess up my. It's always on. Remember, whether it's physical or virtual, it's always on. The Russell 2000. Is there really a? That's the narrative they're saying. They're taking all the money from the tech and they're putting it into the smaller mid caps and small caps, etc. Is that really happening? I mean, I want to hear some opinions from you guys. What's going on, Royce? Is it really happening?
I would say yes. Part of the pull from tech into the small caps is basically it ties up less money. All of the ones that are considered small caps, they're smaller equity stocks. So that means if you're afraid of what's about to happen in the market, you pull your big money and then you make 20, 30% of your portfolio in the small caps and see how well they do approaching the election. That way you're still making something and your downside potential is definitely decreased because you don't have as much money on the table.
Okay.
So it's a smart play.
That.
Yeah, do that when things are uncertain.
Yeah. And it's just like it'd be funny to see behind doors these funds talking to each other and go, I got X amount in NVIDIA. You got X amount in NVIDIA. Let's how are we going to take profit here and not take profit away from you if you're staying in NVIDIA, blah, blah, blah. It'd be so interesting to hear.
Collusion? collusion doesn't happen
or to see
in the
all
market.
no, they're just all invested in each other. I've done the work. I've seen the DD. If you go there, every single bank is invested in the other, so they're all in the same boat, whether they want to act like they're competitors or not. Speaking of banker, what's your opinion here on small cap versus the tech trade? I mean, we've done this before, by the way. They've said, "Oh, it's rotated. Everything. Look at this. It's great. It's rotated, and then bam, it goes back up again the next week." So, is that going to happen again, Josh? What's going on?
Well, I mean, you're just kind of seeing a lot of what we saw back in 2022. You know, they're referring to it as another great rotation, but it's really just, you know, some market uncertainty, and there's a lot of things going on, and nobody really knows what they're doing. So, no one really knows what's going to happen because there is an exceptional amount of uncertainty. So they're putting it something that is just a little bit more stable, which are, you know, some of the smaller cap and mid cap stocks. You know, I mean, it seemed such because the valuation of these larger stocks and tech stocks and things like that is so astronomically high that it kind of mirrors a little bit of that bubble. So there's some uncertainty there, and then that's when you just kind of you rotate back to small caps, mid caps. It happens very frequently.
I don't know. Did I see that it's somewhere between the mid 20s to 30%, the top 7 or something like that? I don't know. It was a ridiculous number as to how much they are responsible for the S&P 500. So if they start coming down, they have to put other stocks up to keep these pensions and all these other things that they're responsible for not looking like it's just crashing hard. But
remember, they have hard stops out there too. You can halt the market. If things are like really bad, stop that guy, and that guy. Okay, we stop the burning.
The machines, yes, they're programmed to do those hard stops for sure. Programmed by certain algos. Let's go on to crypto. We're going to do it every week, I guess, because it is. I mean, if we're being honest, it is very at the fore right now. And even more so with the crypto conference in Nashville going on, I believe, this weekend, maybe starting today, from what I remember, 7/26. Even Trump's going to be there. People are saying that he is huge crypto fan now, I guess. And the crazy thing that came out is there's a rumor, and it's getting more and more legs, that Bitcoin will be a strategic reserve asset now. Have you guys read about that? Or have you heard about it? And if you have, what do you think about it?
I think Josh and I have discussed this at a Christmas party previously.
Oh, wow. Well, then I guess the rest of the show is yours. I'm going to go. Well, please share. Considering that since Christmas, a lot of other things have happened. But yeah, please share.
Okay. From my point of view, there are lots of things that depend on the U.S. dollar. Even so much Tether, which basically Tether is cryptocurrency that's basically 1-for-1 backed by the U.S. dollar. So for every U.S. dollar that's in circulation in the cryptocurrency market, there is a Tether dollar that represents it. Right? To switch to Bitcoin as a reserve currency, that means you would be throwing away, and Tether, in my opinion, would lose all of its valuation and basically be replaced with the Bitcoin and Satoshi paradigm, where basically now you're backing things with Satoshi instead of the US dollar. To make it a reserve currency, I think at this point, you'd have to also be admitting that it's money and it's not a security, but in fact a commodity. All money and currencies are commodities. So I don't think the Fed is ready to admit that and let go of their stake on Bitcoin just yet. Right. But if they are, that definitely would cause a major interruption in the market for every coin that wasn't a well-established coin. So like the Litecoin, the Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, all those guys, they already have an ecosystem that's built around Bitcoin, but everyone else that's built around USDT would come crashing down.
I just can't see that happening. What do you think, Josh?
Well, I mean, the irony here is, I was really opposed to this when we first discussed this, thinking that it was really not something that was ever going to happen, because there were just, I mean, crypto is a made up asset. And so when you boil it down to what is its actual valuation, you got to boil it down to literally the definition of what value is. And it's just based on opinion. This is something that really has been artificially created. Now it has more backing, and we actually have examples of crypto backed currencies. There are various countries that actually have this already rolled out. And so at the time, it seemed something that was way out of bounds, but now it is actually something that is coming to fruition, and it really could potentially roll out, and it still continues to blow my mind.
Yeah, it does mine too. And of course, us apes, we have a really hard problem with things being tied to crypto and being used as leverage / placeholders / this is a 1-for-1 share. No, it's not. It's been proven that it's not, and that things have been, let's just say, FTDs have been satisfied based off of made up crap. So we won't. That's a whole nother show. But that is one of the things that a lot of apes have had problems with, is these crap coins that have been tied to 1-for-1 shares and probably used as collateral or leverage to just borrow quote shares to satisfy shorts, etc. Whole nother thing, but it's another thing that we don't like as apes in general. Speaking
another
of,
thing that they're
go ahead.
doing, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So another thing that they're doing that basically people are accepting is the fact if they did switch to a Bitcoin type currency, now basically every single transaction for everything that you do once your wallet has been identified as yours is public knowledge.
Which is exactly what Bitcoin was created to to cure.
Right.
Exactly.
Based off anonymity, and now we're just coming full circle.
Well, it's still based off anonymity, but banks won't touch your wallet unless it's tied to you. So it means it's decentralized. They can't stop the transaction, but they can see every transaction that comes through.
And let's not forget the reason that some people, especially the older guys that are in finance, poo-pooed it, if you will. That's two hands of poo. When they were talking about it, right? Because it was like, this is all tied to corrupt things, because it's being used to transfer a placeholder of money from one bad organization to another organization without anybody knowing, and no track or trace. And to me, I think a lot of people, world leaders included, may be being paid in Bitcoin or some type of crypto to do whatever they're doing and to execute whatever master plan that's out there that is happening now, between now and, let's just make up a random year like 2030 to get to that point. So sorry to take that little dive off, but Bitcoin is a great way to do things that you don't want to be tracked or traced, in spite of what you guys just said about now it is going to be tracked and traced. But that's only if it goes to through the central bank system. Is that what we're saying here?
Everything goes through the central bank. Don't let them lie to you.
Well, yeah, but now
really,
and what they're doing with trying to tie this to, like if you're trying to get a loan based off your Bitcoin assets or something like that, you're going to have to, they're going to want to know your wallet number and that. Okay, but the people, and so that's going to remove the anonymity, which is great, except that who it's going to benefit most are the people who have enough money that they don't need to borrow and can remain anonymous.
It can be used that way for sure. For sure it can.
Yep. All right. So one other thing in this world of crypto that Bitcoin Applehead left so much, that is our writer from Singapore, is the Ethereum ETF. So they are now out there, and they've generated over $1 billion already for spot Ethereum. And I want to, because even I'm not even way up on what that means. So can you define for us, Royce, what spot means when it says spot Ethereum or spot Bitcoin? What does that mean?
That's actually the price where it is right now. So that basically wherever it's currently going, not the bid, not the ask, but the spot. It's right in the middle.
Really? That's all it is?
That's all it is.
Why do
But you're taking that instead of trying to get either, like, there's raw and there's spot. Raw basically it's whichever first come first serve, open market, it's an auction. Spot's like, nope, take the difference between the two, and that's where we're buying every time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the spot price on gold or silver. You know, it's just what.
Right. But remember, I haven't eaten enough crayons to learn the whole Bitcoin thing. Of course, if I was really into it, I probably would. So what they did to try to get more people in, I think, in both Bitcoin and Ethereum, is waive all the fees that you normally would have. So I guess that's a temporary thing. Have you guys heard or seen that? That's a temporary. We're going to waive all the fees right now just to get your money, and then I guess the fees will return.
Yeah, it's an evil thing to do. It's
no.
Oh no! So and this is slightly opinionated too, because I'll have an opinion on this one. Anyone that's ever played with cryptocurrency, the gas fees, basically everything that's associated with it, once you're in, you have to chalk up their fees to the cost of doing business. So if they let you in, it's like, even if you got out with 15% profit, you might only leave with 5%.
Right.
Because
in my early days, that's why I didn't even get into it. It's like, wait a minute, this seems kind of scammy to me. But this whole gas fee thing, what the heck? And so then when I started getting into it, and like I did a little bit at first, I was like, wait a minute, you have to make a lot to even just get a profit on these little crap coins, as they call them. So, yeah, I mean, what's your take, Mr. Banker?
It's a basic marketing strategy. I mean, it's been in use in everything that you could possibly imagine. Like, you watch a TV commercial and it's like $0 down. Like, come over here and it requires no money up front, and then
no interest for 5 years.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden,
your whole dining room set.
Yeah, it's like in 3 years, you're going to find out that, oh yeah, this really wasn't as good as it was. They just wanted to get me sucked into their ecosystem or their, system in general. And the fees are just going to end up stacked on the back end.
So you almost call it the kind of mafia-like, right? I mean, once you're in, you can't get out. I don't know.
No, you can get out, but it's going to cost you.
Yeah. I say you can.
That's what I mean. It's going to cost you.
Maybe not mafia size fee, but yeah.
You're part of the family now.
Yay!
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, all right. You've been doing that all week, Royce. So just a few facts and figures to throw in there. There were 9 spot Ether ETFs that netted an inflow of, like I said, of more than 106 million, but the total trading volume amounted more to, and it's higher now, amounted to around 1.05 billion, which is less than, of course, what Bitcoin was when it first came out. So we talked about that last week, which is going to go higher, at least initially, and it's not surprisingly. Ethereum is behind Bitcoin if you looked at what projection would be, but I still say, just like I did last week, that there's more use for Ethereum, especially with the smart contracts, etc. So eventually, I still think Ethereum will surpass Bitcoin. Probably no need to get deep into that because we did last week. So we'll move on from crypto, and we'll talk about the Trump trade again. I think we talked about it a little bit, but he is, and I even touched on it last week when I said, hey, look, Trump can be hard on China. He can be tough on them. So, but is it really just a virtue signal? Because, I mean, I see all these leaders that go over there and everything stays the same. And it's like they're doing something, but they're not. It's just virtue signaling. I mean, this is politics in general for me right now. But and it doesn't matter whether there's an R or a D past your name. It's just virtue signaling like crazy because Yellen went over there, Biden went over there, to talk money and talk trade, etc. But everything seems to stay the same to me, and it won't matter once Trump's in either. If he's in, we're not going to get into that, but it's as much as we may want to.
Right, that shit off
That's right. But I mean, is anything really gonna change? I mean, once he's in,
Change takes time. Change takes time.
And this is again assumptive. But when I say once he's in, I'm just talking about with the assumption that he's going to be in. There's a lot of time between now and November, of course, but and the polls, if you believe them or whatever they are. So he's going to impose chips on Taiwan or impose tariffs because of Taiwan. And what is it? TSMC? Isn't that the chip? The chip maker in Taiwan.
Oh, I don't know.
TMC. Oh man, I tell you, the chip maker in Taiwan. That's right. The reason that we're building chip factories here, et cetera, so we don't have to rely on all of the chip makers outside of the country. Try to keep everything in the country. Anyway, there's still, yeah, it is. And there's still word though that he's going to basically bring back all the tariffs that he had before that are no longer there, and we're going to be back to where we were 4 years ago, ish.
Well, and you can understand why that would kind of instill some fear in China because their economy is not doing well right now.
They're heavily reliant on real estate, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, and they're buying up real estate and trying to create, more affordable housing and things like that. And but you got to think their economy being this close to a full-on debacle, and then you bring in the fear that Trump would do more tariffs and then bring in more of a focus on U.S. business would essentially squeeze China out. And so I don't necessarily, support a lot of the things that he says, but there is definitely some merit to that particular angle. I mean, he could really, really do some damage and just essentially squeeze them out.
Which I think is what he was on the way to trying to do and did somewhat last time. The EV thing, he's not really on that board. he's not on board with EV or green in general at all. So, and I think China is not either. They sell it, but they would just as soon be. I mean, that they would. I don't think they're green at all. If you look at what their pollution, if you will, they're not on board with what the world wants in quotes.
Have you guys read about the EVs that even Tesla can do it as well? Mine cryptocurrency while you're driving. So the car is mining while you're driving.
How does that work?
Is that Ethereum 3.0? What is it mining?
I'm not sure of the coins that it's mining. I want to say it was a Doge derivative, but
there you go.
But from what I've seen, that may be a very good way to get extra Doge out there.
I was going to say it's going to be Doge dog with leash.
Nothing insider about that either.
Exactly. It within your own arena, it'll probably just be able to whatever Tesla or X partnerships are out there. It's only good for those certain things that you can redeem.
Republican credits will do fine.
Careful! Don't get the bankers started.
But I am curious though, because considering how much power and consumption there is in mining, like that, and a battery operated crypto miner just doesn't seem extremely efficient.
Well, if it depends on how you're doing it. So, but I guess to understand that,
Starlink.
Well, there are the low orbit satellites for sure to be able to upload the data. But as far as it being battery operated, yeah, but they're alternators to basically charge the batteries while doing and you have the chargers and all that other stuff to help along with that. But think of cryptocurrency nothing more than a really, really fancy safe. Basically, every time you get a new coin is minted, you're literally cracking the password to allow you to have access to the coin. So all it's doing is brute force trying every iteration, going nope, nope, and then trying it over and over on all of the different sequences that it may be trying until it gets one that it will open. So it's not that exhaustive. The only time it gets exhaustive is once you basically, like, for example, in the Bitcoin world, where you've already got 21 billion coins out there, and you're having to go through that entire index to basically say, oh, nope, that one's already used, throw it out, and then basically talk back. So you need faster and faster and faster GPUs, CPUs to basically churn faster, to try to iterate faster through all information to brute force the password to get to the coin.
Oh, no, I get all that, but I'm just saying, if you hooked up your mining PC to series, it's not going to last very long. And you're like one of the biggest selling points, or one of the biggest marketing points for these EVs is range. Yeah. So it just, I don't know. I mean, this is purely a question. But yeah, I don't see how that really would work, and then it not drastically affect the range or the mileage.
Well, would it drastically affect the length of time that battery will work too? Because that's an issue too. And if you have to replace those batteries, man, you might as well buy another car.
Yeah, they're also doing this on your cell phone as well, right? You know that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a coin called Pi, and basically while your phone's on, all it's doing is trying to mine Pi.
Right, just like I did with the desktop. Back when I first started getting into this, I think it was Ethereum 1.0 or whatever it was. I don't remember what it was, but
yeah,
I was anytime I was on, it was mining it. It was going through its iterations and doing in the background.
And it would do it only in the off cycle. So like when it's charging, or when it's XYZing, or when So
gotcha.
Yeah, but computers are getting faster, and batteries are getting more efficient, and you have to also remember that the closer you are from the inception of the coin being created, the easier it is to get coin. So like the first year Bitcoin was out, you could literally mine hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of Bitcoin per day, because you had over 21 billion options to go through, but literally the world was yours because no one had mined any of them yet.
Right. Feel like we're playing Minecraft all of a sudden. So another thing, just back on the whole Trump thing, which we were talking about, is that he is even floated, evidently, this is reports, doesn't mean it's true, I didn't hear it from his mouth, is that he wants to allow China to actually sell their cars in the U.S. now, which again just tells me that you give that front face of I'm being tough on China, but oh, by the way, I'm going to be for you selling your cars here in the U.S. I don't know why.
Well, that's a double play, though. In my opinion, that's a double play. If you're now imposing heavy tariffs for them to import into your country, you're double dipping, because not only does it have to get there, but now American citizens are actually paying on top of the price that they previously had there, so that way it makes it comparable to the prices that American car companies have.
True. It'll still be competition, though, with the American cars.
But the government will be getting, not the car dealerships.
Well, and that'll keep the price up. I mean, the thing is, I mean, when you think of China, you think of cheap stuff. That's why it starts with CH.
Wow.
It's cheap stuff.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
We'll never hear from Daniel again.
And I'm out.
Come on, you know this. Everything that's in the cheap dollar stores is made in China. Made in China. Anyway, so
I know I do not condone or
the idea
opinions provided by Darren
asterisk
on this After the Bell episode.
So if they bring it over here with their cheaper cars, I'll just say cheaper then to make you feel better. But then that might cause competition in pricing, but at the same time, because we already know it's not profitable to make EVs here in the U.S. right now until things change with technology. except for it says the car manufacturers. Ford is losing every time they sold one. And that'll change over the period of time, but right now it's just not a profit-making thing. But anyway, you bring those cars over here for more competition. I see what you're saying, though, Royce, is that if we do the tariffs, that'll make them more expensive than they normally would be if the tariffs weren't there. So,
and the government gets the full benefit of that extra pricing.
Right.
There you go, which might erase 1/100th of the deficit we have going right now.
It might. I mean, even to piggyback on both of your points, like, yeah, it might make. Yes, there might be some people who opt to buy it, but the vast majority of what what consumers would want, you're not going to buy a cheap version for the same price versus what you assume is a better built version for the same price. Like, I'm not going to go. We buy those things from China because they are cheap. If they are no longer cheap, it's not really a competitive advantage.
Right. And it's just going to make the cars we do build here more expensive because of some things we have to source from China, right? I mean, that's the case in a lot of things that we sell here.
That's the thing. They can mass produce. They can outproduce us. It doesn't mean that the points are necessarily cheaper. They just can outproduce, and therefore they can offer a lower price because they're selling bulk.
Right. All right, we'll jump off of the whole EV and crypto thing now. The green, if you will.
I'm trying to save your job, man. I'm trying to save your job.
Just don't talk to my boss. And just know that probably, I know Daniel mentioned that there would not be any more talk of crypto, but there probably will be even more next week because the convention will have just happened. So there'll be so much news coming out of that, especially with Trump being there. And then the whole China, that's why I brought it up too, is there's talk about competitiveness in crypto with China. So that's all going to come out this weekend, and we'll have so many talking points. We can probably do the whole thing next week on crypto. Please know. So let's go ahead and move on to Prime Day. I know that happened. It seems like forever ago, but it was the early part of the week this week. Amazon Prime Day days, 2 days, I think. And they did a record numbers. For some reason, these guys are always going to Adobe Analytics now. I don't know the in-depth to that, but all of a sudden now they're the experts on everything. And they said that they estimated that 14.2 billion was done, which was up over 10% from last time. But as long as prices and inflation keeps going up, then those numbers are always going to look good, in my opinion, because things cost more. So that's why all these ERs have been good for so long, because they're charging more to the consumer. And so it makes the numbers look good, right? I mean, and until that reverses, it's going to continue to be that way. We did see the PCE this morning, so that also affects the narrative, if you will, in the news about this whole, and it's always been about, and we've talked about this for 2 years now, about rate cuts. And so everything is based off of rate cuts now. At least that's the narrative again. And now some of them are saying, oh, well, we're going to cut it next week. And we're back to 3 now. We're going to have 3 cuts this year. And then...
Have we had any cuts this year yet? Any?
Zero.
Have we had any cuts?
Zero.
And then I said there weren't going to be any cuts. It's an election year.
And I'm still in that camp too. Exactly. But now they're saying it's 100% in September, and then another one the next one would be 60% or something like that, and then a third one is like down to 50 or up to 50%. So the narrative is being set there. Again, with the ultimate
being done until the entire election is over. One branch gets out, one branch gets in, same branch stays in. Until that's decided, they're not going to do anything.
It's that hurdle, the election hurdle. You got to get over. We're not going to change anything. We're going to keep running like we're running.
Yeah, until that office gets out of office, leave it alone.
I mean, you'd have to have something like a weakening economy and an increase in unemployment rate, or something a catalyst for a rate cut.
Right.
To see
something negatively impacting us, basically allowing them to say, okay, we need to pull this.
Right. We're not. I don't think we're seeing any significant shifts in any of the rate cut necessary metrics to actually do anything as of this point.
And it just changes. It's a liquid thing. I mean, every week it's up and down, and we're being played. Jeez, come on, with all the facts and figures that are out there, and the surveys and the polls, et cetera, et cetera. We got a little marionette action going on behind our heads, and we're just being played. All right, so
you did that too well. I'm out.
Because I've been played for so long. It's just natural now.
Noted. All right.
All right. Just, I mean, any other words there? I mean, before we move on to Josh's big moment again, anything there? No, actually, we got to go to it. We got to go to your crayons.
Oh yeah.
How could an 8 miss the fact that we're going to go to your crayons? So
I like crayons.
We eat them. We eat them with our wrinkled brains, or our smooth brains. Actually, that's how we try to get wrinkled brains. By the way, for those that don't know, we eat crayons, and our brains are smooth, and we just love when a bit of deep dive information comes out that we have gone and researched, and that creates a little small wrinkle in our smooth brains. I'm just trying to explain a little bit what's going on there.
All the wrinkles, folks. All the wrinkles.
All right, Royce, what are we looking at today on crayons and charts?
Well, if you really want to know, we are looking at IWM. Remember those small caps you were talking about?
Ooh, yeah. A lot of our stocks were in IWM and being manipulated through IWM. So, yes, go ahead. Tell us what IWM is doing.
So right now we're looking at our Arbitrage Advanced 3D indicator. Basically, 3D tries to show the path that the candles will take at all time. Looking at this chart, let me go double tap in. Notice the candles stay within a path, and probability basically guides the candles. Basically, it's like you're going down a river, right? Every time you go outside, it basically forces you back in. Well, from where we're currently sitting, looks like IWM is at a bit of a top. And this is on the daily time frame, and this is using the 3D indicator for the daily time frame. So that means probably for the rest of the year, this will be the top for IWM. I know that contradicts exactly what we talked about at the very beginning of the show. However, and before you go and put your money out there, know what probability is doing, so that way you're not caught unprepared. I'm going to get rid of a little bit of these labels that I have over here to help us better see our dashboard. All right. Anytime the Z Pro, basically your probability gets above 70%, there's going to be a pullback. And looks like 5 of the 6 bands are above that 70%. So with that being said, I am expecting a major pullback on IWM and expecting it to find support somewhere. Let me stretch this out so you guys can see these purple lines and see these values on the right-hand side. I'm expecting it to find support somewhere around 212.59. If it breaks through that, 206.99. And if it breaks through that, somewhere around 204 to maybe even 193. And if things get really dire, we go on to full-on recession, 187.72. I hope we do not make it there anytime soon, but it is in the realm of probability before the election. And that would, if it actually made it down there by the election, that could prove to be the very bottom and allow for a very, very good next year for small caps. That's all I got.
Yeah, wow. I mean, if it pulled down there, we're going to see some big time rate cuts, which could be in the plan. Who knows? Who knows?
I mean, but a cooling off would be healthy.
Yeah, we've needed a cooling off bad for a while now. So yeah.
It's way out there in the stratosphere.
Not necessarily in the Russell, but everything else. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Although that you can see that is also, I mean, just it's every single thing has been pumped so high right now. So we're up here just dangling. Look out below.
Yeah,
but you can make money. Just don't forget, you can make money both ways. You can make money going down. You can make money going up. So as long as you know how to do that, then which we don't give options classes here, but you can make a lot of money both ways, puts, calls, etc. And the big guys do. That's how they make their money both ways. We had a little thing happened, which was that the apes took the lead in the overall. Let's pull up the scoreboard here. Let me get over here. There it is. So you'll see that there's 7 up in the apes. But remember, we're a divided ape because if you saw last week. And then you see the institute, the Singaporean Institute, with all of their connection problems, etc., is just 1. And then Royce, it has been surpassed, but it's only because we look at the algos that he makes. Which, by the way, looking back at that chart you just had up, all those little labels you had, the names, etc., those are breakdowns of our algos. Those are the breakdown of the 12 different algos that we have, or indicators that we have, that help us be very accurate in things that we look at each week.
So those are the details.
Those are Pip's details, if you will. So just wanted to call those out. Let's get back to us. I guess I need to recap just for Josh what happened so he can smile bigger now that we can see his face. If you were last week, all you saw was this dark looking creature with the light coming from behind him. So lighting is better this week.
Yeah, kind of. Again, I had moved literally the day before, so
right. We were lucky to have him at all. Actually,
yeah, I was living out of boxes.
Yes. So what happened last week is it was JP Morgan, and I see it's up another 1.75 this morning already. But what can you do? It's a fund, or a bank, funded by the funds. We won't get into all that. But he basically had the top end of the different. We had four people were in on this wager last week, and he had the top end, the top channel. So anything above that was his as well. But he didn't need that. It stayed basically in his channel all week. It did try to dive down a little bit, but it didn't make it. And of course, it's bouncing back up again. And so he really wasn't scared at all week long. He was very safe where he was. So
I told you, Becky,
congrats.
They know.
Congrats. Yeah. They have all the connections literally to all to the Fed and everything else.
Oh, man, I got to blame it on
they hold hands with the Fed.
On the charts, the bands, the whole. I mean, I just look at the system and I knew exactly where that was going.
Yep. So I assume that when everything else crashes, they will too. I don't know. What do you think? Is that going to happen? Like when the banks, or when the if we get into recession, are they going to crash, or it's going to go up because of the interest rate? So what's going to happen there?
Hey, I mean, let's just not see it below 199, and we'll be all right. Below 199, all bets are off, and literally can make it down to 170. So yeah, 10% correction if it makes it below 199.
Okay, well, 10's better than 30.
But from where we are, that's over 20%.
Yeah. Still, but I've said this before, back when we were saying we need a 20% correction, that was 10% ago. So they're not going to say it, but we kind of need a 30% correction. And who knows when it's going to be time. So let's move on to because we do this every week. Whoever wins gets to pick what stock is going to be for the next week. So maybe we just let Daniel take whatever's left. I don't know. I mean, we'll pick our 3. He picks whatever's left. We do 4 channels, and just he'll take whatever's left over. And we'll do this in the future, just to keep all 4 in play.
Does that mean he could technically win by absentee?
Ooh, I mean, I could get political with that too, but I won't. Let's go to.
To be fair, if all 3 of us pick incorrecly, he kind of deserves it.
Right?
Deserve.
Darren's a little competitive.
just a little. So, did you pull up Zillow yet? Do you have Zillow?
Go or
not?
Zillow is
we are now. Hang on. Let's go back to let everyone see our great graphic now. Crayons and charts. And now let's go over to the chart for Zillow.
All right, I'm going to make the font size large so we can all see that lovely dashboard pop up real nice. Give it a second. There we go. All right, we're looking at Zillow. Zillow is I like it where it currently is. It's sitting almost in the middle of its range using just our dashboard indicator. Of the 7 time frames, all of them seem to agree that there is heavy support around the $54-ish range, but it has a top out at about $56. And it looks like 6 of the 7 time frames have a bottom somewhere around 43, 44 ish range. So it looks like we got about a $12 range to play with. So each person gets about $3.
Okay.
So who wants to go first? Josh, you?
Pull up the 15-minute. I just want to see what the updated is.
Yes, sir.
Because you're on the advance, right?
I'm on the Apocalypse band. So yeah, this is the 15-minute. So there's lots of resistance around 50.33. That's that pink line. Yeah. If it can get above $51, there's a chance that it can go much higher to maybe see the 54 to 55 area. And where probability runs out is right about that 45-ish area. So I try to stay somewhere in between if I could.
What's your 12? What is your 12 range there?
So from around 42 to about 55.
Okay, so we'll go 13-ish. So we got 42 to 45, 45 to 48, 48 to 51, and 51. Okay, so that's kind of the All right,
so pick your poison,
or 51 plus, I guess. All right, so this, I mean, for those people listening, by the way, this Zillow, if you don't know, is an indicator of the real estate market, correct?
Well, kind of. I mean,
kind of, yeah.
And interest rates and what else?
There's a lot of other factors that factor into Zillow. It just seemed a little bit more topical since we've been hitting real estate pretty significantly in the past couple of streams. So,
I've noticed the REITs have popped up lately, but I'm telling you, this is a wealth thing. It's the wealthy that are basically propping up the real estate market right now. I could be wrong, but I'm just saying it's they have the money, they have the cash, they have everything they need to invest in to a market where 80% of us really can't. Am I right or wrong?
Well, no comment.
If you look
I can't give financial advice.
That's true, but if you look at the builders that are doing successful, it's the ones that cater to the higher end. That's all I'll say. So anyway,
no, I'm actually talking on the opposite end of that to basically how much you need to qualify to start building or renting or buying. They've lowered the requirements, so you can do something like DSCR and potentially only put 20% down and get into stuff.
Gotcha. And is that something that is a current program that might go away if things change at the head office, or is that something that will continue?
No, that's a program that they have out there. So, for example, say you own a house. Say you take $100,000 out of your house, you can technically buy 5 additional $100,000 houses as long as the person you rent to can pay the effective mortgage that it's at. So effectively, you wind up owning 6 properties for what you had invested in the one over the course of the years that you were living there. So there are programs out there, but once again, you have to qualify for them. And most people can. You don't need even a high credit score. You just have to have the capital on hand.
Gotcha. Sorry for that sidebar. It's just I think maybe some folks out there don't know that what Zillow is tied to and what it might mean, and so you need that information too to know where you think it might go. I think so. Josh, back to you with the channel.
Kind of like the $50-ish range.
So 48 to 51 or 51 plus?
No, 48 to 51.
All right. So actually that's going to be 48 plus then, because that's the top end.
52 to 55 is the top end.
42 to 45, 40. Yeah, okay. All right.
You tried to trick us, Josh.
I know.
So I had 48 to 51.
There you go.
Then 51 plus is the top.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right. That makes sense. I guess we'll let you go next, Royce, then, because
All right, I'm gonna go right underneath him.
Okay.
So $47.99 all the way down to what is that, $45.99 or $44.99? $44.99.
It'd be 4501 or however we do it.
Yeah, 5.
I mean,
So yeah, 45 to 47.99.
all right, and I'm gonna go just below that then.
Man, he's trying to kill the market.
Well, I mean, I don't have much of a choice. I guess I could go with love, but
I'd almost give. Yeah, I'd almost give. I'd almost take the top.
Well, remember, Daniel's always up and to the right. So
are you giving financial advice here? Let's see. Let's go to.
I was giving financial advice to you.
Yeah, let me go back and look at this. Let me look at this chart. I see what you're saying because it would bounce back basically up, and there's still a lot of room. Once it gets, especially if it gets past that purple line and breaks through. Okay, you convinced me, but I'm not going to be happy with it. All right, let's go
until he wins, and then he's like, "I knew it all along."
Yeah, but then I'd have to admit that you guys changed my mind at the last minute, and I'd hate to have to admit that the banker changed my mind at the last minute. That would be terrible. Although he is an ape, so
we're playing some 3D chess over here.
Maybe he was thinking, maybe he was thinking, I'm going to give advice for the other ape. It's a team thing. All right. Well, that's it. That's our show for this week. I appreciate you guys coming in. We finally made it happen. It almost didn't happen at all between moving and the Singapore Institute shutting down its Wi-Fi, etc. I mean, it was hard. So we got it done. It is Friday. It's time for the weekend. So hope everyone has a good weekend. And I will see you back here next week, hopefully with 4. If not, we'll settle for 3. Good to see you guys. See you next week.
See you next week.